What's up YouTube? Capital G here talking about Cyber Angels in this video, or I guess just rituals in general, and asking a question: how good do you believe that they can be at this format? Because I am starting to be sold on this deck. I think that it is very strong, and for the most part I feel like it's definitely undervalued and kind of overlooked. I think I had it at like the 7th spot on my top 10 decks of the format, but I didn't see any other YouTuber even mention Cyber Angels in their discussion. I think I saw one other person, but no one really talked about them, and I'm like, this deck is actually pretty strong. I know Olympio did a discussion pretty much very similar to what I'm doing here. I guess I'm piggybacking off of that, but this deck is a lot stronger than what people are giving it credit for, and I think that people are hesitant to trust newer archetypes, especially ritual archetypes, because there's been, there was Necros, which was obviously like a high tier, almost tier 0 deck, and then when it comes to rituals, just a lot of the other ritual like cards and ritual monsters haven't been super great. There's always been things like the Herald, I guess you can kind of consider it an archetype, which was never that successful. Then there's other great strong rituals. I'm not talking about pure archetypes like Gishki, but other things like Saphira, and I think that people don't necessarily trust rituals unless they're extremely over the top, proven to be OP like Necrons. And I gotta say, guys, after seeing this deck in action a couple of times, I think that it can make some extremely strong turn 1 boards. And honestly, anytime you have Herald of Perfection, you're going to be able to win some, you're gonna be able to win some duels just because you drop this card turn 1 and your opponent can't get over it. Now, I know that getting over it has been easier with the advent of things like Kaijus and Utopia the Lightning, and those cards still do counter this. Like, Kaijus are just an instant out to Herald of Perfection. I guess you could throw Breakthrough Skill in that too, but I don't know how many people still actively are running Breakthrough Skill. But it doesn't mean that this deck still can't make some pretty nutty turn 1s, and more importantly, it can actually OTK, because it used to be for a long time that your only complementary play for Herald of Perfection was to try and drop Christia, which generally meant summoning through advanced ritual art, and it wasn't very consistent, and a lot of times you just kind of had Herald sitting on the board for like 4 turns doing nothing. This deck is faster and way more aggressive than any of those previous versions. A lot of it has to do with the fact that it's not completely reliant on the ritual summon, although it is definitely a ritual focused deck. And I mean, you can make explosive plays, because anytime you run the Star Seraphs, you're going to be able to, you're going to have those games where you open with Scepter plus Chair, and you just make tons of advantage in turn 1, and you end up making the Bahamut, or excuse me, not Bahamut, but Ouroboros. You end up drawing a bunch of cards, you end up potentially popping a card on your opponent's side of the board, and then being able to attack their hand. But if you haven't really been keeping up with rituals, maybe you know a little bit about Cyber Angels, Ben 10 is easily the best one. And again, this is not a pure Cyber Angel deck, so Ben 10 for the most part is the most consistent one. Ben 10 basically says when it's tributed, you get a light fairy from your deck, which means it searches every single monster in this entire deck. It's cool because you don't really have to run multiple Honest because it's searchable, but Ben 10 being a level 6 is cool because you can obviously tribute her to summon Herald of Perfection, to summon Saphira, and then okay, so if you use Donna the Herald, you can actually just add the Ben 10 right back to your hand, and you get the search at the same time. So it's you actually end up plussing, and it's really crazy because you get to whatever you want. And what's really cool about rituals right now, and why they actually might start seeing some meta play, is even if you take out the advent of the Cyber Angels, you've got a couple of cards and pre-preparation of rites which have just done wonders for rituals. If you haven't been experimenting with Cyber Angels recently, or I play a lot of Prediction Princess, I like that deck a lot, or even if you haven't played Chaos Max, Konami actually has made they've made an effort to pump out some good rituals, and pre-preparation of rites is just a godsend. It instantly gives you, well, not only is it an instant +1, but it gives you your ritual monster and it gives you your ritual spell. This card basically is an instant ritual. That should almost be the name. It gives you everything that you need right then and there to ritual summon. It's not like Manju where you normal summon it, then you have to choose, okay, do I need to spell more, or do I need the ritual monster itself more? You know what I mean? Which am I more likely to draw out? This card just gives you everything that you need. And then Ritual Sanctuary, oh my god, this card is amazing. In addition to having that nice special summon back from the graveyard effect, like just being able to pitch any of your cards that like you don't necessarily need, any of the spell cards, like being able to pitch extra copies of ritual spells that you probably aren't going to use that turn to get to any ritual monster or any ritual spell that you need is just amazing. So like, let's say that you activate a pot of desires, right? You draw your couple of cards, and then God forbid you just draw into another pot of desires. You can actually just pitch that, and you can get any ritual monster, which 90% of the time you're probably going to get Ben 10, because we talked about how like she makes the deck so consistent and she just searches everything. But it's also cool, there's actually a really crazy interaction that I'm starting to see players use. This was actually at the YCS, by the way. Cyber Angels topping a YCS right out of the gate, getting top 32 at YCS Romini. That's pretty damn impressive for anybody who's just a 100% naysayer. Like, Cyber Angels not that good, or Rituals just another, you know, B tier 2.5 deck, not gonna do anything. Like, I hate to break it to you, but you know, technically they've already made top 32 at a YCS right out the gate. That's pretty impressive. But the interaction that it has with Metaphors Fusion is actually pretty, like, it's a really dumb play. Basically, you activate your Ritual Sanctuary, you pitch Metaphors Fusion to get, like, okay, let's just say you get Ben 10, right? Then you put your Metaphors Fusion back into your deck, and then you draw a card. So it's like you not only get what you need to get to, but then you end up going like plus at the same time. It's really, really stupid. And I guess I really like this deck because not only can you summon Herald of Perfection, but you actually have ways of protecting your monsters. Like, if you summon, or if you end up getting Hymn of Light in the graveyard, which, by the way, you don't even have to summon Saphira to get this in the graveyard, because you can pitch it for Ritual Sanctuary. You actually get protection for, well, all your rituals. I mean, you're not going to really summon Ben 10 that much, but getting and like an extra layer of protection for your Herald of Perfection is really good, because that's just another card that you can save. Instead of having to negate that Regeki, it just kind of saves you like a free card. So if you guys have not, like, if you're not familiar with rituals right now, they're actually very strong. I mean, not gonna say that this is like Necros level, but it's, you know, maybe it might be the strongest that we've seen rituals in the last 3-4 years outside of Necros. And I got a couple of replays that I want to show to you guys, but the deck is absolutely, like, it's really, really powerful right now. Let me show you guys a couple of replays so you guys can kind of visualize what exactly the deck does. And yeah, these will be replays of the deck going off, but a lot of times the deck opens like this, and it's, you know, either you're going to open with strong Herald plays and you're going to search a bunch of cards, or let me pause and get the field set up, or you can just obviously go like the Star Seraph route. You can go Ouroboros. You can make things like Diamond to just completely lock out PK Fire, you know, because obviously you can go into Deltaros and then you can just rank up like Diamond over top of it. So you see this hand right here. Well, actually he's going second. He's going to go into Minerva, you know, mill a couple of cards, no battle phase because he got the Electromagnetic Turtle, activates Desires, gets a couple of draws, and you see Ritual Sanctuary getting to the Ben 10, you know, activates Donna the Herald, activates the Ben 10 effect. He's going to add it to his hand, and he's going to be able to search. Like, just see the plays, guys. That way he can just get to Star Search. Like, that's what makes getting to Chair and Stick so consistent, is the fact that Ben 10 just searches like any of them. So just watch what's going to happen here. So obviously he has Stick and Chair. You know how broken Stick and Chair is. And the cool thing is, even if your opponent doesn't have a monster on board because you're going first, you can still just blow up like your Ritual Sanctuary. I mean, you don't have to use it. So goes into Ouroboros, blows up Minerva. He wants to activate Minerva's effect. Nope, not going to happen, because Herald of Perfection obviously is on the board. This means Ouroboros is going to be able to take a card out of his hand. Yep, so goodbye Goblinberg. And then he gets to activate, this is just stupid, right? So he ends up sending the spells back to his deck to summon Star Seraph Scepter again, which means he can actually just, like, he just gets it back for free. The guy tries to activate Fairy Tale, but yeah, Herald of Perfection just negates. And what's really cool about this is, with Ritual Sanctuary, if you end up summoning Honest back, you can obviously bounce Honest back to your hand, or even cooler than that, if you use Norden, which I think every version of this is going to run instant fusion to summon Norden, because you can go into like Fairy Cheer Girl, you can actually summon your Norden back, and you can trigger your Norden's effect again, because obviously Norden is not once per turn. So let me show you guys the other one. That was clearly just an OTK, but like the fields that this deck can make are super strong. And you might say, oh well, Minerva Sworn is not that meta, but but this one's against Monarchs. Now, this is pre-banless Monarchs. This is like Monarchs with like 3 Stormforth and all that. It looks like he's running Domain Monarchs because he doesn't have an extra deck. Herald of Perfection hits the board turn 1. Still has that Pot of Cupidity, or excuse me, Pot of Desires. He's going to go ahead and activate it. And he has Thick Chair again, which, you know, probably means Ouroboros. Probably means he's going to lose a card out of his hand. Goes for Ouroboros, and he pops his Pre-Preparation of Rites. Goodbye, Edia. And he summons everything back, and then he gets Scepter. And look at this right here, guys. This field is fucking crazy. So you have an Ouroboros turn 1. You have Herald of Perfection. The Star Scepter doesn't really matter that much. These are your main 2 cards. But he has 5 cards in hand. Like the drawing that you get and just the searching that you get from Ben 10 and from Manju. It's like the deck is like super consistent now. So the Monarch player just tries to like desperately activate stuff, and it's just not going to happen. Like he tries to just out the Herald of Perfection, but it's like, you know, negate. So you really just can't do anything. Like, hey, I guess what I'm saying is rituals have gotten so consistent now. Herald of Perfection is no longer at the point where it's like, man, I've got a couple of negates and I hope that they get me there. Like a lot of times now, you're going to be sitting on like 3, 4, 5, maybe, you know, plus negates. And with things like Pot of Desires, it just gives you like, you don't care about what you banish because you run 3 of everything anyway. So it just makes the deck even more consistent. I mean, outside of, I guess, the original Preparation of Rites. But you see, basically, he's able to just kill him in the second turn. Monarch player couldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of Herald of Perfection. But I just wanted to talk about rituals right now, because I think that they just got a significant amount of support. Everything from Preparation of Rites, or excuse me, Pre-Preparation of Rites to Ritual Sanctuary, and then giving them Ben 10. Like it ties all of this stuff together, and all of these like obscure level 6 rituals are now super playable because of Ben 10. So let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I really want to know what people think. Like, what tier do you guys think that they can be? I think that they're a minimum of like tier 2. I mean, I'd probably say like maybe tier like 1.75. Is that a thing? Tier 1. Actually, no, tier probably like tier 1.5. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you haven't already.